Hey, so I just wanted to give a little bit more information of what actually needs to be done in these villages. I'll put some pictures, hopefully to explain a little bit of this in more detail so you can tell what's going on. But the villages, they're basically built on top of the tundra. And so there's not really any soil to dig septic systems into. And so all of the septic happens above ground. There's really not even any outhouses or anything like that. And so they have what are called dog houses. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's like an actual dog house that's turned over. But when they say their dog house is turned over, it's the septic from the house runs out into what looks like a dog house, but it's an insulated, basically just a little holding tank really for septic. And it's heated, and then the pipe coming out of the house is heated as well, so that through the winter it's operational. And all of those, most of those were actually detached when the flood came. Those floated and they tore away from the house. So those need to be redone. And then in Tuntutuliak, they use those sometimes, but really they just use honey buckets, and then they dump that into hoppers along that boardwalk, and then the village, the city will come, or the village will come and pump those out. Same with the dog houses, they get pumped out. Another thing that needs to be done is most of the houses, they're up on pier and beam, and they either floated or just shifted a little bit, or in some cases quite a distance, 20, 30, 40, 100 feet. Sometimes they would float away from where they were supposed to be. So at some point those need to be moved, or they're just going to have to be built again where they're sitting. Again, like the tundra, it's just floating nothing, it's just vegetation. And so it's like, how are you gonna get a trailer up underneath that, jack that house up, put it on a trailer, move it back? In some cases is impossible. In Tuntutuliak, the Russian Orthodox Church had fallen off of its piers, and so they're not meeting. But we met an awesome guy named Henry today in Tunt, and he is an elder at the Moravian Church, and so they're still meeting. They don't have a pastor there, but they are still getting together, fellowshipping some, and he's basically the head elder, as I understand. And so he showed us around the town this evening. And so, yeah, those are kind of the two big needs of re-leveling the homes, fixing any septic problems, and then just in general to move stuff that shifted or drifted during the flood. And so there's a lot of lumber and just general trash that floated, debris that floated, and so all of those things need to be done. Here in Napakiak, there's a church here. It's right there. Our friend Job is the pastor there, and so it's really amazing. He's got 20 plus people right now in the church that have come from the lower 48, come from other parts of Alaska to be here to help him. But like in Tunt, there's nobody there helping the village. They're just doing it all themselves and trying the best they can. There's been some relief stuff brought in initially, some water and things like that. That's another thing in Tunt. The city water supply is not drinkable right now. It's a well system that they have, and it's not usable. And so, yeah, just basic necessities like water. They're having to ration that stuff and make sure that they've got enough. They're hoping within this next week that that's usable again, but time will tell. So, yeah, there's several villages like this, several that have been completely evacuated. There was just too much damage, really nothing livable in those villages. And so in one weekend, the entire village is just had to be evacuated. There's nobody there. The dogs have been evacuated, everything. It's completely empty. But there's other ones that, like Napakiak, Tunt, that are somewhat, maybe 3/4 is still livable. In Tunt, there was several places where it needed to be, it's a livable dwelling, but just mud, 2-3 inches of mud had come in during the flood, and that needs to be cleaned out. So there's a long way to go for these villages. And so, yeah, we just pray that there would be teams come up. You know, Jesus said that the harvest is great, but the workers are few. And in these situations, it's really manual labor, but it's a work for the harvest. And there's infrastructure now in Alaska. Friend just messaged today that he had a vision about a highway in the wilderness. And, you know, we read in Isaiah, prepare the way of the Lord, a way in the wilderness. And so we really believe that in this season, in these days, that there's infrastructure here for the harvest. All these villages have runways. So access to these villages is possible. And now we really do need actual laborers to come and labor, to work alongside the people of the village, to see their village restored, but more than that, to bring in the harvest of souls that's waiting. And so, yeah, be praying for us. If you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to donate towards these efforts, if you'd like to come and volunteer, please let us know. It's definitely possible. And so we're working on those logistics of, okay, how could we get to a village like Tunt and actually send laborers out there, send people out there? What would the logistics of that look like? So, yeah, thank you so much. We love you all and appreciate your support and prayers.